So let us just have that context, First thing is political, cultural stability. The most important cultural stability. There are two ways you could get cultural stability. Is either a dictator actually stabilize the country, like Russia. Russia has ethnic problem, like Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, like Rwanda, Paul Kagame, like Iraq. When I forgotten the name of the man that was the president of Iraq before America actually got him killed. Like Libya, all of these countries, like Nigeria, these countries, all of these countries have they're post-colonial countries and they have ethnic problems, ethnic issues. They have deep ethnic issues. Now compare them to countries like France, compare them to countries like Britain, compare them to countries like Poland, compare it to Austria. Austria and Switzerland, they also have ethnic issues. I think it was in Switzerland that they didn't have a functioning government for 3 years. I don't know. It's either Austria or Switzerland. I don't know. But now think about America. When America prospered because it had an ethnic stability. They have the numbers. The whites had the numbers. But now America is going into the dust because the demographic change, They are bringing in immigrants. They are bringing in the cultural problem, And like I said, what people do not share the same beliefs on nature of reality, they do not agree. So that is the issue they are facing. That's the issue. Just compare it to France. France is culturally stable because it has not anymore. France is not culturally stable anymore. Because it brought in immigrants that were born in that country and actually shouting Allah Akbar. Born in that country so culturally stable. And the reason why Africa is where it is because the British, the Americans, the Germans actually colonized them and found this country the way it was formed. And if the national divorce was easy, the Americans Texas would have found its way by now. Our would have gotten out of America because there are a lot of people that actually wanted out of America in Hawaii. So, so it's been almost 6 months. I have been trying to make a response video to this about 10 months, since the 10 months, almost a year, since this interview you actually published between Dr. Peterson and Margaret Wade. I've been trying to make a response video to this video, and I haven't, So I'm finally doing it after 10 months. I've been busy. I'm always super busy, honestly, because of my investigation. And this video will be long. It will be somehow because I think it's a complete nuisance, the way, like, a complete narcissism, the way people record videos and they actually watch themselves record videos. But I don't think I have a choice with this, and I have to find a way to actually show you what I'm working on. I'm working on right now. So I'm trying to combine these videos together. So yes, I have to find a way to screen record on Mac. Okay, on your Mac. Shift command 5. So I have to record my whole screen, the entire screen. So it is recording. So so this video it has been on for about 10 months, and Margaret Wade actually made this kind of conversion argument that Africa is not poor because of colonization, and I have to actually refute this claim. I'm not woke or whatever they call that. I'm a fan of Peterson, even though I do not agree with most of the things he actually says. And I'm a capitalist. I actually believe capitalism is the only ideal. It's the only economic production system compatible with individualism, and I'm an individualist. But I want to ask people why. Honestly, one question I've been asking myself for a while now is why socialism are kind of stuck around. Why it is so attractive. And I will tell you why it is so attractive in this conversation, because this video will be long, and I'm sorry it will be. And so John Peterson is brought this 6.2 million views. 6.2 million views on this video alone. 6.2 million views. And this guy, John Peterson, is supporting the idea that Africa is not poor because of colonization. First thing I want to talk to you about. That is something they call white guilt. I'm very sure you've heard about this before. And that is the reason why it is. The reason why this idea seems attractive to conservatives, neoconservatives or conservatives in America, is because it's because they want to extricate themselves of the guilt whatever they did in America, you know. So this is in Africa. So they talk about slavery. I do not blame America for slavery. You know, I do not blame any Western country for slavery. Slavery is a natural thing. It has been before human language. We've been enslaving each other. So I don't think anything was wrong with slavery. Like we were saying, Africans weren't selling other Africans, but humans were selling other humans. You know, because at that time that was not even at this moment. You know, that even the concept of America or of Nigeria is even non-existent, and there was something about. That's an idea about America, African now, but at the moment, that was nothing like Africanness, you know. I doubt those who actually were selling each other at the time have ever heard of Africa, the word Africa. But to extricate the guilt of whatever it is, and I think I will find the video of how much Jordan Peterson actually makes on Patreon, you know, at the time before. I think he went off Patreon after someone was banned or so. I don't know if his Patreon account is still on. I don't know. I don't think his Patreon account is still available. So so Jordan Peterson makes a lot of money on Patreon, and that is why he does that. He's trying to extricate himself of the guilt of having so much money, and actually, I'm very sure he does a lot of charity work. I do not doubt that, you know. But the guilt of having so much while others have no, you shouldn't feel guilty for having so much. I myself, I'm not rich myself, but it shouldn't actually, no one should guilt trip him for having so much.
I've said right from the beginning that I'm an evil capitalist. I don't make any bones about it. I'm not ashamed of making money. It's very hard to make money.
Can I ask you bluntly how much you make?
I make $80,000 a month on Patreon. My book is selling about 20,000 copies a week. I have royalties that probably amount to something approximating $1.50 on each of those. The tours garner about $35,000 to $50,000 an evening. I have a business that's generating, I don't know, something in the neighborhood of $200,000 a month for me personally. There's some other smaller sources of income than that.
Then you are making a lot of money.
Yes.
Out of this.
I certainly am.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't feel guilty for that. But that was this video you made talking about how much he makes, and trust me, in that moment of actually talking about it, and was accumulating, talking about how much he makes, he was guilty about that. So he felt guilty. So I want to go back to this video. These two people, I want to go easy on Peterson because I once invited him on my show, and we didn't get a response. And I say I'm still open to actually have conversations with him in the future. So I want to go easy on both of them. And Margaret Wade herself doesn't live in Africa. She lives in Texas. It is not an argument for anything, but I wish she actually stayed long enough to actually, in Africa, to actually understand, because she still doesn't understand what the real problem Africa is facing. Post-colonial countries are facing, you know. So I will point to you the errors they made in this video. Like both, neither actually knows what they're talking about. Please allow me to fix my Mac. I have to actually plug my laptop. Okay, so that is plugged. Neither actually understands what they are both talking about. Neither actually understands what they're both talking about. The examples she brought up Rwanda. She brought up Lee Kuan Yew. She brought up I don't know. Let us watch the.
Well, you list here in one of your articles where you make reference to these rating systems, the bottom 10 countries for doing business in the world: Chad, Haiti, Central African Republic, Congo Democratic Republic, South Sudan, Libya, Yemen, Venezuela. There's a lovely example: Eritrea and Somalia. And so there are three exceptions in the African ecosystem. Mauritius, Rwanda, Kenya, South Africa, Botswana, and Zambia. You pointed out in your prospectus, is it prospectus article?
Yeah, prospectus article of Artbridge Institute.
Right, that Mauritius is a rising star, and Rwanda is in some ways comparable to Georgia. So some of these countries have started to get this right.
Yes.
And so what's the consequence of that? And what does right mean?
What they have understood, what these countries have understood, is that economic freedom is at the center for prosperity building. Rwanda, for example, Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, is explicit about it. He said he wants to be the Lee Kuan Yew he wants to be the Singapore of Africa, and Lee Kuan Yew is his model.
I don't know who colonized Rwanda. I think it was Germany or so. I don't know. Who colonized Rwanda? Let us find out. Who colonized Rwanda? I think it was Germany. Yeah, it was. Okay, okay. The Germans and the Belgians, you know. So, so, uh, that was the argument that Kagame is trying to replicate and she doesn't see the similarities in Rwanda and Singapore. Like they are both led by dictators. Like if a single man directing the affairs of the country, deciding it, that is one. That is one. That is the similarity. I won't bring up the problem right now, but the similarities between both of them.
Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, is explicit about it. He said he wants to be the Lee Kuan Yew he wants to be the Singapore of Africa, and Lee Kuan Yew is his model. Now, the dirty mouths are gonna start shouting, "Oh yeah, see, authoritarian, blah blah blah."
You see, that is funny, you know. That is actually funny, you know. She was like, some people will say with the mouth that it is authoritarian, but this is the key that she missed. This is the key that I'm going to the problem very soon. This is the key that she actually missed, you know. I hope that is recording. The key that she actually missed, she was like, people will say authoritarian, blah 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 blah. She doesn't. Honestly, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Me, I want to talk only about the economic side.
About the economic
If
side.
you take Lee Kuan Yew and Singapore as your example, then it means that, like him, you're going to have to be serious about economic freedom. And that's exactly what he did. That's what Singapore did. When Singapore figured that out, they went on to put in the right reforms to make their environment some of the most business-friendly environments in the world, one of the most free markets environment in the world. And you saw the magic of Singapore. Today, Singapore is richer than its ex-colonizer, Great Britain. So when I hear people telling me today, "Oh, Africa is poor because of colonization," I'm like,
ads. So I want to bring up some countries for you guys. The problem Africa has that America and Western Europe doesn't actually know that the liberals have put America and Western Europe into right now is tribalism. The problem Africa has is tribalism, ethnic tribalism. The problem, it is not just Africa, it's just post-colonial, it is mainly post-colonial nations. Ghana is an exception. And Ghana is not really an exception. Ghana is also have its problems. But I'll tell you why that is. So she brought in Singapore, she brought in Rwanda. So Rwanda, I'm very sure you've heard about the Rwanda genocide. The Hutu and Tutsis killing each other because I think it was the Tutsis that were very favored. You know, I think the Tutsis were the minority and they were favored. I'm not very sure the ethnic group of the ones that were favored. And I think it was Tutsis that killed the Hutus. You know, that were mainly the aggressors of the Rwanda genocide. I'm not very sure, but are the aggressors. Genocide. So I want us to actually pay attention to some things. Okay, I'm recording the screen. Yeah, I want us to pay attention to some things. One, it is cultural stability is the problem Africa has. Cultural stability. They do not have cultural stability. Africa post-colonial nations do not have cultural stability. And the way these countries were formed, they were formed by the British and Germans and the Belgians. They actually brought together people that do not share the same views on the nature of reality. They do not believe in the same God. They do not salute the flag. Or they do not wear the same clothes and the same clothes. You know, they do not wear the same clothes, salute the same flags and all those things. They do not worship the same gods. Those are the people. That was how they colonized them, they formed the countries that way. The British knew what they were doing. They knew those countries would become nothing because they pit groups against groups. For example, in Nigeria, a post-colonial nation, my country, the Northerners, they have the highest amount of population, were the ones giving the highest, giving the political power, the real political power. They have the political power, they have the numbers because they have the most, the highest number of people in the country. And as long as the country continues to stay tribal, people that do not believe in it, just imagine if the Palestinians and the Israelis were living together. Some people were Jews, some people were Muslims. Do you think they could ever, just imagine if you were to form that country today, do you think they could ever come together to make anything happen in that country? The country will come in ruin, you know. So I want us to pay some attention to some countries, you know, some contexts. Like, let me make sure this thing was recorded because I already recorded this whole thing before, and okay, it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. Yeah. So let us just have that context, you know. First thing is political, cultural stability. The most important cultural stability. There are two ways you could get cultural stability. Is either a dictator actually stabilize the country, like Russia. You know, Russia has ethnic problem. Like Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew. Like Rwanda, Paul Kagame. Like Iraq, when I forgotten the name of the man that was the president of Iraq before America actually got him killed. Like Libya, all of these countries, like Nigeria, all of these countries have they are post-colonial countries and they have ethnic problems, ethnic issues. They have deep ethnic issues. Now compare them to countries like France. Compare them to countries like Britain. Compare them to countries like Poland. Compare it to Austria. Austria and Switzerland. They also have ethnic issues. I think it was in Switzerland that they didn't have a functioning government for 3 years. I don't know. It's either Austria or Switzerland. I don't know. But now think about America. When America prospered because it had an ethnic stability. They have the numbers. The whites had the numbers. But now America is going into the dust because the demographic change, They are bringing in immigrants. They are bringing in the cultural problem, And like I said, once people do not share the same beliefs on the nature of reality, they do not agree. So that is the issue they are facing. That is the issue. Just compare it to France. France is culturally stable because it has not anymore. France is not culturally stable anymore because it brought in immigrants that were born in that country and actually shouting Allahu Akbar. Born in that country actually So these countries are not culturally stable, and the reason why Africa is where it is because the British, the Americans, the Germans actually colonized them and formed this country the way it was formed. And if a national divorce was easy, the Americans Texas would have found its way by now. Hawaii would have gotten out of America because there are a lot of people that actually want out of America in Hawaii, right now, So cultural stability is the main thing. The way to get cultural stability is to have a dictator or to have an overwhelming natural majority in a majority of an ethnic majority in the country. That is the way to get the ethnic stability to actually become prosperous. Now, I'm not recommending dictatorship for authoritarianism, but this was what she missed.
Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, is explicit about it. He said he wants to be the Singapore of Africa, and Lee Kuan Yew is his model. Now, the dirty mouths are going to start shouting, "Oh yeah, see, authoritarian, blah blah blah, whatever." Me, I want to talk only about.
She just omitted it that the Singapore she brought up, Lee Kuan Yew built Singapore. Of course, now the solution Lee Kuan Yew left for them is that they will start rotating presidency. But now look at Nigeria with more than, I don't know the numbers of ethnic groups here, but I think we have about more than 200 languages in Nigeria. More than 200 languages in Nigeria. Just imagine that. Can a rotational presidency work? No, it can't. And the reason why we're in this mess is because Nigeria was colonized The reason why we remain in this mess is not because of them. Let me. But the reason why we are in this mess, trust me, is because we were colonized by the British. That is the reason. Because they formed the amalgamation of 1914 or so. They formed this country by actually merging up people that do not share the same views on the nature of reality. Now, I want you to actually look at, these people are proud. These white people are very proud. They are very proud. They think they are unique. They think the problems that preoccupies African nations could never get to them. I was watching a video on American exceptionalism today by Yaron Brook. I haven't finished watching it. I haven't grabbed the content. But these people actually believe they're exceptional. They believe they are very unique. They are the problem we are. But they are already having a problem.
All of that. So
The
anyway,
liberals
the
have
truth
messed
is,
up the Western world.
Singapore,
They brought
richer
in
than
a
Great
lot of
Britain today.
immigrants.
And then Hong Kong
and fuck them
happened.
up, you know.
And then
Seriously fuck
because
them up,
Hong Kong
mess them
happened,
up a lot.
China even today.
And now there are people
China
in
went,
France, there are people in Sweden shouting Allahu Akbar. Even in Britain now, they don't even cook. They don't even serve pig meat. What do they call pig meat? I forgot. Whatever they call it, I forgot. In classes, because just respect the. I'm not against the Muslims here. I have a problem with Islam, not Muslim. I have a problem with Islam, not Muslim. So she's like, economic freedom. But she doesn't get that without the cultural stability, you can't even get to the place where economic freedom is the solution. Just look at America for Christ's sake. Just look at America for Christ's sake. America is no longer culturally stable. The whites are becoming a minority. They have an influx of migrants, you know, that changes their name at the beginning of their life and later at the ending of their life, you know. People that just look at California itself. And now you have the trans issue, the LGBTQIA issue, plus. Now, if America were to get a dictator, a benevolent dictator like the Kwan Yu, they would prosper. They could get all of their infrastructure and everything back in place, in check. I'm not recommending that for anyone because something could go wrong. But she just omitted that. The reason why Africa is here is because of ethnic tribalism. And the same problem is actually appearing in European countries, Western Europe and America itself. She just wants to talk about the economic side. Fuck. They don't know what is wrong with even the problem the country is facing. Of course, they can actually have an inkling of the problem that America is facing, but they know that they can't actually look close enough to actually recognize that what they figured out was to put in the right reforms. Let me. Okay. A free market, the magic of Singapore. It's a colonizer. You see, once there is ethnic tribalism, just think about the. I'll come back to something else later. Just think about the race riots before the Kwan Yu. This is before the Kwan Yu. Just think about the race riots before the Kwan Yu. Just think about the Hutu and Tutsis. The Hutus killing the Tutsis, you know. Hutu killing the Tutsis because of years of resentment they've experienced. Just think about the race riots in Singapore. Just think about Libya, the civil war in Libya, or people that Gaddafi actually favored this. He favored this ethnic group, but when they were overthrown, when Gaddafi was overthrown, the people of other ethnic groups just actually got their vengeance, got their revenge on people over. And once there is a deep resentment, like during the Ottoman Empire in Iraq, you know, during I think the Sunnis were really favored. The Sunnis were the minority in Iraq. They were really favored. And I've forgotten his name. The dictator of Iraq was also a Sunnis, and he also favored the Sunnis. But once the dictator was ousted, the Shia now used their political power to gain vengeance on them. Just I think about 3 days after Gaddafi was overthrown, the Sunnis got the problem. They got the issue they've avoided. So the problem Africa is facing is really basically ethnic tribalism and it is cultural instability. Cultural instability doesn't make you prosper, you know. And who are the reason why Africa hasn't doesn't possess the post-colonial community isn't culturally stable? Fuck. I don't like looking at our gods because of the uncertainty itself. You know, I'm looking at video right now. These people are so maybe a tiny. She's bullshitting. She doesn't. They have no inkling of what the problem is. Just think about if France actually had maybe 15% of Muslims in France. The northern Africans actually burning their country down right now. You know, not generalizing right now, but just imagine if they had that number. Or just look like about New Zealand, where the Maoris actually debate in court whether to wear a tie or not, you know, or to actually have their facial native facial marks and all those things, where they would never be able to get together to actually achieve anything. Honestly, once the infrastructure is corrupt, the country will be corrupt.